What you must know: General Muhoozi Kainerugaba's strategic visit to South Sudan and the deepening Uganda-Juba partnership. On August 9, 2025, Uganda's Chief of Defense Forces, CDF, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, arrived in Juba, Southern Sudan, for a high-level diplomatic and security mission that underscored the deepening ties between the two neighboring countries. The visit was marked by meetings with South Sudanese President Salva Kiir Mayardit, consultations with senior officials, and a morale-boosting engagement with Ugandan troops stationed in the country. This is not an isolated trip. It is part of a broader regional strategy by Uganda to solidify peace, security, and economic cooperation with its neighbor. Here is everything you must know about the visit, its significance, and what it means for Uganda, South Sudan, and the wider region. General Muhoozi touched down at Juba International Airport early on Saturday morning, where he was warmly received by his South Sudanese counterpart. This ceremonial reception reflected the importance Juba places on Uganda as a strategic partner. The immediate transition from the airport to State House signaled the urgency and priority of the discussions awaiting both sides. At State House, Juba, General Muhoozi and President Kiir engaged in high-level talks focused on strengthening bilateral relations and enhancing regional security. Key areas of discussion likely included coordinating responses to emerging security threats in the region, like the clash in Kajukeji, expanding Uganda's role in supporting South Sudan's fragile peace process, strengthening joint military cooperation under existing and new agreements, enhancing trade and infrastructure links between the two countries. There was a visit to Operation Mwinzi or Mwinzi headquarters. Following the meeting with President Kiir, General Muhoozi traveled to the tactical headquarters of Operation Mwinzi or Kimia, Swahili word for silent guardian. This operation represents Uganda's military mission in South Sudan, aimed at ensuring stability in areas prone to conflict. At the headquarters, the CDF met with Ugandan troops deployed under the operation. Secondly, consulted with commanders on the ground to review operational progress. And thirdly, assessed troop morale, readiness, and logistic needs. Muhoozi engaged with South Sudan's Vice President. Itinerary also included discussions with South Sudan's Vice President. This meeting focused on security cooperation and regional peace efforts, reinforcing the multi-layered nature of Uganda's engagement with South Sudan's leadership. The combination of presidential and vice presidential consultation showed that Uganda is not limiting its diplomacy to symbolic gestures. It is working to build a network of personal relationships with key decision makers in Juba. Uganda has played a decisive role in South Sudan's stability since its independence in 2011. At the request of the South Sudanese government, Uganda People's Defense Forces, as UPDF, were deployed following violent clashes between rebel forces and government troops. This intervention helped prevent further escalation of civil conflict, restored calm in key areas of the country, enabled humanitarian agencies to operate more safely. President Key publicly praised Uganda's contribution, emphasizing that the UPDF's involvement has been critical in keeping peace in Africa's youngest nation. Juba is one of the top destinations for Ugandan exports, including construction materials for export, textiles and garments, agricultural produce, and processed goods. The health of this trade relationship is directly linked to South Sudan's stability and by extension to Uganda's economic interest. A secure South Sudan means open borders, steady markets, and reduced security costs for cross-border business. As both CDF and Senior Presidential Advisor for Special Operations, Muhoozi, used this visit to reaffirm Uganda's commitment to supporting South Sudan's peace process, strengthening military cooperation between the two nations, and expanding areas of mutual benefit, including trade and infrastructure. His words and actions reflected a long-term vision to see Uganda and South Sudan not just as neighbors, but as mutually dependent partners in regional peace and prosperity. This trip to Juba follows other recent high-profile engagements by Muhoozi, including talks with DRC President Felix Tshisekedi in Kinshasa. This visit suggests that Uganda is actively working to build stronger defense alliances across East and Central Africa, to position itself as a regional peace broker, and to protect its economic interests through stability-oriented diplomacy. Uganda's involvement in South Sudan's security landscape is not new. Over the past decade, UPDF forces have been deployed to help stabilize conflict-prone areas. Uganda has acted as both a military ally and a mediator in peace negotiations. The relationship between Museveni's government and Salva Kiir's administration has been marked by consistent military and political support. This has built a deep reservoir of trust between the two nations, a factor that underpins current cooperation. From Kampala's perspective, South Sudan holds strategic value in security. A stable South Sudan reduces the risk of cross-border insurgency or refugees. Economy, it serves as a major market for Ugandan exports and a gateway to wider Central African markets. Regional politics, close ties with Juba boost Uganda's influence within the East African Community, EAC, and the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, that's IGAD. Muhoozi's visit to the troops under Operation Minzi or Kenya was not just operational. It carried symbolic weight. It reassured soldiers that their mission is recognized and valued at the highest levels of command. It projected Uganda's resolve to stand by its commitments in the region. It sent a message to both allies and adversaries that Uganda's military presence in South Sudan is enduring. Both Uganda and South Sudan benefit from shared security objectives. That is combating armed groups operating near or across their borders, preventing the spread of instability from neighboring conflict zones, coordinating responses to regional humanitarian crises. By aligning military and diplomatic channels, both countries aim to create a security buffer that protects not only their own citizens, but also regional trade and movement. General Muhoozi's latest mission is likely to lead to expanded joint training programs between UPDF and South Sudanese forces, stronger trade facilitation agreements to ease cross-border movement of goods, enhance intelligence sharing to monitor and counter security threats. This visit is another example of Uganda's shift toward active, visible, and regional movement. It reinforces the idea that Uganda's military leadership is not only focused on internal defense, but also on shaping the regional security environment in ways that serve both national and continental interests. By positioning itself as a stability partner for South Sudan, Uganda is also protecting its own economic lifelines, bolstering its international profile, and reinforcing the East Africa vision of cooperation over conflict. General Muhoozi Kainerugaba's August 25 visit to Juba was more than a courtesy call. It was a strategic reaffirmation of Uganda's role in South Sudanese peace and stability, a signal of commitment to regional security, and a reminder that diplomacy and defense are increasingly intertwined in East Africa's geopolitical landscape. For Uganda, peace in South Sudan is not just a neighborly wish, it's a strategic necessity. And for South Sudan, Uganda remains one of the most reliable partners in both security and development.